welcome back to the Heal with God podcast. Each week, we explore a new theme for healing, and I'm your host, Heather O'Brien. And today, we're going to be talking about spring cleaning for the soul. You might hear that little giggle in my voice, and it's a little play on words, yes, but don't we need to step into a new season sometimes? Declutter all of the junk that's come into our lives, maybe spiritually, maybe physically in your house, maybe in your relationships, your finances. We just need to declutter sometimes. And it's not gonna happen by striving harder. It's not gonna happen by doing more, but what we're gonna do is let go and let God gently restore what's been carrying too much weight in our lives. So I'm joined today with Mackenzi Blasko and Denise Stiffler, and they run a podcast called From Run Down to Renewed. And I was over on their show, and today I'm just so excited to return the favor, them being on my show, because they carry such a heavy, weighty glory on them. They carry a steady, compassionate heart for the weary believers. And today we're going to be talking about how healing prayer helps us make space for renewal, hear God more clearly, and receive what He's already offered in the season. Hey there, welcome to Heal with God. I'm Heather O'Brien, your prophetic healing coach. This is your place where we go deeper into hearing God's voice and finding your healing through Jesus. If you're a Christian who's prayed all the prayers but you still feel stuck and you're ready for breakthrough, you're in the right place. Let's dive in because healing with God is possible for you too. I want to invite you into something really special. And let me tell you a little bit about my story. So I quit smoking for 10 years and I still wanted a cigarette every single day. And that's when God showed me something. You can actually stop the behavior, but still not be free. And that's what managing looks like. It's when you're technically doing better on the outside, but on the inside, you're still carrying the pull, the pressure, the cycle. And so if you're listening to this before Saturday, February 28th in 2026, we are doing a live 4-hour Zoom called Stepping into Abundant Living. And it's built for the women who love Jesus, but they feel run down, heavy, stuck in patterns that just don't make sense. It starts at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and it is a 4-hour live experience. It's time for us to stop managing what Jesus already healed. Go sign up for the workshop today. Okay, so welcome, Denise and Mackenzie. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, we're very excited to be here.
So, at the end of our conversation on your podcast, I did a little coaching session, and this wasn't aired live. And so I'm super curious, what was the fruit? I always wonder, what was the fruit of what happened with our prayer time together? And feel free to share or hold back anything that feels too personal.
Yeah, I'm actually so glad that you asked because this is something that I wanted to talk to you about today anyway. So, I I recognized in our conversation throughout our podcast episode that I had this spirit of fear that was just on me, and I didn't I couldn't name it, but you helped me name it. And so we just cast it out in the name of Jesus. And I remember that experience where I felt my body get warm and tingly. And I knew that something had been completely released. I had never really truly experienced that before.
Mm.
And in conversation, after we cast all of that out, we realized that that was actually on me from a previous relationship that was a very serious relationship in my life, and still it's a relationship that is now severed, but it still had a lot of power and weight in my life. And so I I was actually telling my therapist about it a couple weeks later, and I told her, I said, there were weekends where I could not get off the couch. And I just thought, "Oh, I'm sad, I'm going through a hard time, whatever." And my life really hadn't, like, in the physical changed since this happened, but I could get off the couch, I could do things, I was active, I was thriving, I was moving around, my thought processes have been different. And, even through the holiday season, the holidays are typically very heavy for me, and this was the first holiday season where there was weight, but it was way less, way, way less.
Mm.
And I'm speaking more boldly in situations where I used to cower in fear.
Oh,
And just, I mean, and not and doing it in a very godly, in a God honoring way.
yeah.
But I think a lot of times as women, we're told, silence is kindness and silence is,
Mm,
or just, saying things in a certain way or not necessarily standing up for this, that, or the other because, then you're
yeah.
not a godly woman. And that's a lie
Yeah.
completely because you can say things in a way that are God honoring, but truthful.
Yep.
Yeah. Can I speak as a
Yeah.
friend also getting to witness
Mhm.
all of this happen? Because the fear was the fear of punishment.
Yes.
Okay. I was just fixing to say that. I was like, okay, what did you get delivered from? If you can't
Yeah.
answer it, I messed up on my job. Oh, I'm so
No, it's
bad.
okay. It's okay.
It was the fear of punishment.
Come
And
on.
she was making decisions
Mhm.
in that
100%.
fear of
Yes.
punishment.
Yes.
And after that episode, it no longer held her. And the things that she were doing were completely the opposite of what she would normally do.
Mhm.
Like she said, like sometimes being silent, it keeps the peace. It does, whatever, XYZ. But maybe that's not what you're being called to in that moment. And that fear of punishment was not letting her see past that to be
Yes.
able to do
Yes.
those things that God was calling her
Yes.
to. So to be able to see that switch and see
Mm.
her making these choices, it's
It's
so
fun.
fun.
It's fun.
So
It's
cool.
fun
Mhm.
doing it. Yeah. Well, and I think too, in the weeks leading up to like right before our conversation, I remember I was telling Mackenzie, like I was being gripped by fear over the smallest things.
Mm.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, these were not big deals, but to me and my body and my mind and my soul, they were huge.
Yeah.
And she even said, "There is something on you. Like there is something going. This is so much deeper than just your body's fear. Like
Yeah.
this is a s-
Wow.
spiritual."
Wow.
And so to have that release from that, I mean,
Night and day.
it was
Night
Yeah.
and
an
day.
yes.
So you got a little bit of spring cleaning in your soul.
100%. Yep, just in the fall. We did a fall
It was
cleaning.
And I guess we need to say that. Okay, so this episode's planning to come out in the spring, which is why we're talking about this. But this can happen any time of the year, no matter what time you're listening. God is always ready for a little bit of spring cleaning. So thank you so much for sharing that and getting a little bit of vulnerable. I know that was something that God was doing in a season, getting rid of fear of punishment. It was just so loud everywhere I looked. It was everywhere. And that the fact that there's fruit is means that there's undeniable deliverance. And I love that you remembered what you got delivered from. Don't ever forget that because when it comes back, you know its name, you know how
Yeah.
exactly what it feels like and how to tell it to go. One of my first questions for you was when you think about spring cleaning for the soul, what does that really mean spiritually? Not fixing yourself, but making space for God. And that was a perfect example. But you'll have anything else that you want to add to that?
I think when I think about spring cleaning, it's like cleaning up, right? I think about my front door and how it gets all dirty from kids' fingerprints and the dirt and grime. We have dogs, so we have like this film on the front door. And it's like, okay, I notice that this is dirty.
Yeah.
And for us spiritually, we need to notice
Yeah.
what is inside of our hearts, what's like kind of dirty and what has built up over time that needs to be wiped clean.
Yeah.
And so that's like how I visually think
Yeah.
about
That's
spring
so good.
souls.
That's so good. I also noticed like in the physical realm, I start cleaning up around the house. Like even today, okay, so it's after the holidays, it's time to actually take the Christmas presents and put them up.
Yep.
I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh
Those
yeah.
little, like Christmas is a mess. Not just I'm not talking about even decorations. I'm talking about all the gifts. Like, where do I put these? Well, in order to get the new stuff, come on, this is going to be so good. In order to get the wine into the new wineskin, the old wineskin would burst if we just stuck the new wine in. That's what the word of God says. So I got all these cool new watch bands. I got a watch and you can get fun new watch bands. And I was like, this is gonna be so fun. But guess what? I have a million other watches that I don't use anymore. They quit working and the bands to go with them. And a lot of them are just trash. And I was saving them up. So I went through my watch drawer. And I feel like this is so prophetic. Like even the watch, right? That it's telling the time. It's a telling of the season. It's saying, hey, it's time to clean out. It's time for the spiritual cleaning. So I cleaned it out and now I have all my new ones. And I found another one. It was just randomly in there that fits my brand new watch. And I'm like, huh. I'm like, I'll show y'all. I know this isn't on video. I'm like, that's so cute. Like, I didn't even know I had that. I think it went to my husband's watch or something. because I didn't have this watch before. So, like spring cleaning, like we have to do that. We do it in the natural, but then we do it in the spiritual. And I think that I always see the body, soul, and spirit just intertwined and working together. So in the natural, I'm cleaning my watch, but I think in the spirit, God's cleaning up my timeline. He's saying, "Hey, let's prune this, let's prune that." So I don't mean to take so much time on that, but I can see that I can see how it works both ways, and even like cleaning the door, like you said, it makes so much sense to need to. You see the door need. Okay, what about this? You see the door needs to be dirty for how long before you actually clean it?
Right.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So you talk about renewing your mind. That's some of the themes that you really talk about, you really hone in on. And I've heard that a lot before. Let's renew our mind and get down to it. And I'm like, I know what that means now, but back in the day, I did not know what that meant. And so maybe some of our listeners are like brand new at this and they're like, okay, from rundown to renewed, yes, let's do some spiritual cleaning. What are some of the things that God would tend to gently invite us to clear out in our weary seasons and do the spring cleaning to renew our mind? What does that practically look like?
Yeah. There are in Genesis, the very first two questions that the Lord asks
Mhm.
after Adam and Eve eat the fruit is, where are you? And that signifies he wants that one-on-one relationship with us. He knew exactly where they were, but he was giving them an opportunity to come forward. The second question is, who told you that?
Yeah, come on, that's a good one.
And so we need to look at what lies we are in agreement with
Yeah.
and what we are choosing to live by,
Mhm.
because Satan is an accuser and he is a liar and he comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And so we need to look at what mindset, what thoughts do we have that are not from the Lord and are not serving us.
Yeah. Let's give an example here. So maybe we go back to you had fear of punishment, but you didn't know its name.
Okay.
So in order to identify that, you're like, first of all, your friend is saying something is wrong. Okay. So maybe that's the first invitation to, hey, I probably need to do some spring cleaning, but I don't know what to clean or how to clean it. So where do you go from there?
Yeah. So from there, I would sit with the Lord and ask, like, even my friend who said there's something here, like, what are you seeing
Yeah.
that I don't see?
Yeah.
And just be curious. We don't want to stir up any type of shame or anything inside of us. We want to just be curious.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the Lord will reveal it.
Yeah.
And his timeline is perfect. So the fact that you are curious and asking,
Uh-huh.
he will honor that.
Yeah. And the Lord is so gracious. I think we are our own worst critic.
Yeah.
And sometimes we make our critical voice God's voice.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not the case. And so I think that curious piece is huge. And I think even for me, I like to write things out. So even just journaling your prayers, journaling those questions, and then just seeing, like, just paying attention,
Mhm.
because God is so good and gracious and kind, and he knows what you uniquely need to
Yeah.
see and hear, and so he can point those things out to you
That's so
in a
good.
way that will speak directly to you.
Yeah. I love the curious piece because it makes me think of Psalms 139, search me, O God. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you
That's
and
right.
lead me along the path of everlasting life. So I pray that a lot because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know that we have stinking thinking. We don't know that we need to renew our mind. So it's almost like it's an opportunity. Hey God, I don't know what I don't know, and I'm just coming humbly and saying, with curiosity. Curiosity might come from you have behaviors in your life that aren't really having good fruit.
Right.
Mhm.
But then there's this other piece where it's like, okay, I don't have anything overtly happening in my life, but also I just want to give God permission to convict me. And then you might become aware of like, whoa, I did not know that was there. You won't know it if you didn't ask God. You just won't know it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So once you're able to identify it, you can then break in agreement with it
Mhm.
and just go to God's word. What does God say about that specifically?
Yeah.
And speak that truth over yourself. And with journaling, I love journaling because you can start noticing patterns within yourself.
Yeah.
of like, oh, I say this a lot and that doesn't align with what God tells me. So
That's so good. That's
it,
so good. And even okay, I'm gonna mess with some people's theology right now, but I'm just thinking about this conversation that I had with someone recently, and there was stinking thinking going on, but they thought it was so reasonable. Man, I could think of a whole bunch of conversations coming to mind with different people. This one person, she like I was pointing it out. She knew she had depression that just came on. And she's like, I don't know where this is. And so I'm doing the analysis basically. And I'm listening to her and her thought process. And I'm like, whoa, that was anxiety. That was future focused. But all she could say was, but it's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a fight. I
yeah,
was like, are you going to humble yourself and let me speak into this? Like I didn't say that out loud, but that's what I was thinking. And
Right.
it gets a little bit sticky whenever we're so sure that what we're thinking is reasonable. So, listener, I'm just kind of I guess I'm part of that prayer is search me, oh God, test me and know my anxious thoughts. What we're doing is humbling ourselves. And so sometimes we just, okay, there's depression in your life, but you're not letting people speak into it. Like you've got curious, but will you let someone else who has any authority in your life speak into it? Now, I'm not talking about just a random person on bench. I was her friend. She was asking for help. And I'm like, I see it. But man, the devil did not want her to see it. And by the time we got done, she was literally vomiting this fear. It was nuts. She was like, hold on. Like, like this is not your average person who like even believes in deliverance.
uh, uh,
And so like it was just that radical. Once you finally give in and let the Holy Spirit do the work, man, there's some stuff that can come up. So I say all that to say, you don't have to throw up spirits. You don't have to do this. But sometimes we have to get stuff out of our body that we let into our body because we're so, man, I don't know what this is, but today God is saying spring cleaning involves your body, your soul, and your spirit. I just feel him saying this.
That's right.
It's all of that. It's not just your brain. Or your thoughts are important, but your thoughts let stuff into your body.
Yeah.
Yes. So have you seen healing prayer help this renewal? Like we gave one example, but do you have any other examples that you want to throw out where we're not striving and we're just
oh yeah,
surrendering?
I just went through something
Mhm.
really, really deep. It's been years in the making, and it came from unforgiveness.
Come on.
I had the spirit of unforgiveness on me. I had a list of people that I needed to forgive, and I knew I needed to do it, and I knew why, and I've forgiven so many people, like what was holding me back. And I had a friend, I reached out to her and she graciously pointed out to me that I have the spirit of unforgiveness. And she's like, "What are you going to do about it?" And I was
I
like,
love
"Let's
this
go."
friend so much.
Yes. Well, before she was like, "This is either going to be offend you or you will be ready for it."
Come on.
Like,
I
all
think
right.
that's important. That's important. Like you're either going to take this or you're not, but here we go.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So we got rid of it. And there was still like a part of me that was resistance to forgiving still. And I realized it was fear of rejection
Oh,
because I held this space in this unit. And if I change, how would that affect the whole unit? Would they still accept me? Type
hold
of
on, hold on, hold on. You're being very cryptic
okay.
and I need details.
You got to do it, girlfriend.
Can you spill the tea in any way that you feel a little bit more comfortable? Because I think that this is really going to resonate with the listener. Like we all have these lists at some point in our life, and we're like, I know I need to do, it, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, help us understand why you didn't want to, and how did unforgiveness tie into the spirit of rejection? Help us understand that a little bit more.
Okay. So in my life, I have experienced every single type of abuse. And so I've been able to individually forgive people for that, but my family system is what I needed to forgive. And so I wrote a list of everyone that came to mind, even like grandparents that are no longer here and like people that didn't see or protect me from things. And so after recognizing that I had this spirit of unforgiveness and getting rid of it, I felt a little more safe, but there was still a part inside of me that was trying to protect myself. because when you are a little girl and you are experiencing these things, when you go back around those people or people like them, that little girl comes out and says, "You're unsafe. Let me protect you. Let me help." And so my role inside of my family is specific.
Mm.
And I've experienced rejection many different times. And if I change, could I lose them forever?
Mm.
And I had to recognize I have this fantasy family I created when I was a little
Yes.
girl
Yep.
for for my for being able to get through life, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I have this fantasy family that I had to let go of. I had to surrender that and I had to accept what is in front of me. And I had to ask for the Lord to show me what he saw in these people instead of my hurt little girl self so that I can see through the Lord's eyes. I can see them the way he sees them and I can truly forgive in those moments. So instead of feeling like not safe and having to protect myself, I feel like the antidote of that is surrender.
Yeah.
So I sat with the Lord and I forgived. Also, myself was on that list. I had to forgive myself,
Yeah.
which some people will disagree that you don't have to.
No. Oh, yeah, you do. That's
But
huge.
yes. So I went through the entire list and it was beautiful. And let I, also I have some autoimmune issues and physical issues. And I had psoriasis so bad on my head. Actually, that morning when I prayed to God all of this surrender and confessing unforgiveness and everything, I was peeling like layers of skin off my head. It was so itchy. I would wake up through the night itching. And this winter had been really hard on my body. I was getting hurt because like I felt so fragile.
Mm.
So after confessing this unforgiveness and going through and forgiving everyone, I asked the Lord to heal
Yeah.
everything in my body that came from unforgiveness or from my family system. I'm not even kidding. At the end of that prayer, my psoriasis was gone on my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. Come on, Jesus.
And then
Mm.
I've noticed things in my body,
Yeah.
like I don't feel like I'm surviving the winter anymore.
Come
Like
on.
and Denise can attest
It's
to this.
huge. It's huge because
Come
she
on.
came over to help me wrap Christmas presents. And normally whenever we work, we're either sitting at the table we do the podcast at, or we're in my living room because it's just cozy.
Mhm.
But we always have the fire on in the winter because of how cold she is. And she sat on the floor and wrapped Christmas presents, and I didn't turn the fire on one time, and
Uh,
she didn't put on her weighted blanket one time, and she
uh,
or heated. I think you even took off your heated coat. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
she is normally very, very, very cold.
yeah.
And we're always just like ready with all the things to keep us warm when we're working. And we didn't need any of that. And I commented on it multiple times that day because
Whoa.
it blew me away.
This is huge. Yeah. I yeah, we could all ruffle some feathers here, but your personal experience is yours and no one could take anything from it. But I have seen autoimmune problems, disorders, whatever words. I've seen it be direct reflection of actually, yes, unforgiveness, but generally that is unforgiveness and anger towards self. And I think the psoriasis is anger. Did you pinpoint all of that yet? Or
I mean, there was anger also, and it felt safer to be angry than
Yep.
to feel the sadness.
Yeah.
So that's something that also held me back of I didn't want to move into the sadness. I knew that was next, and I
yeah,
didn't want to feel sad.
Mm-mm.
So, yeah, that
yeah, it's like a shield for us to be angry. Like it just seems like it is comforting us. The anger is protecting us instead of God protecting us. Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for getting vulnerable and sharing that story with us. That was powerful. And we needed to hear the whole thing. This episode is all about when you renew your mind, you're forgiving people, you're getting rid of evil spirits, and also there's spring cleaning in your physical body. Like literally, both of y'all have had physical manifestations. This is amazing. I love this so much. So, For the listener who is sensing God inviting them into this spring cleaning, what's one simple grace-filled way that they can begin partnering with God? I like to end with just one activation, because yes, we could do a lot of things, but what's one best thing to do today?
I would say first, give him the truth.
Mm,
He
wow.
he doesn't want your perfectionism type of spirit. He
Mhm.
wants full vulnerability. He wants you to tell him what you're scared of. He wants you to tell him what you're mad about. He wants you to tell him what you're afraid about. Like, he wants all of it, because God cannot heal something that is not brought to light.
Yeah.
You have to bring it to him and allow him to heal it.
What were the two questions that you said were back in Genesis? I remember one, but remind us of those things.
Where are you?
Okay, yeah,
Who told you that? Because a lot of times the lies that we believe come from somebody else.
yeah.
Spoke
Where
something.
are you? Who told you that? And then come to him with truth with those questions. Yeah. I ask a lot of people, like, who told you that? I ask that question. And I guess I just want the listener to hear you might not have an immediate response, but also you need to be partnering with the Holy Spirit to do that, because you don't know what you don't know. And that's the whole point of this is the Holy Spirit needs to reveal heart issues because it's so deep, it's so old, it's so painful. You've blocked it out probably. And
Mhm.
maybe but partnering with the Holy Spirit is the way to bring these to the surface. So, Denise, did you have something else that you wanted to add to that?
So I actually, when she was saying all of that, I felt really led to share something that's been happening in my life just very recently as well, where I have noticed that I have this kind of performance spirit, I guess you could call it, or like just I think we called it a religious spirit when we first started talking about it,
Mhm.
where you're just doing, like, you're checking off the list,
Right.
and it's in your head and you know things, but it's not fully in your heart. And I mean, let's be real. I love Jesus. I've had a relationship with him for decades at this point, but he very graciously, because when you do this, when you say, all right, show me
Uh-huh.
all of that, the Lord told me, you kind of treat me like I'm a bad boyfriend. Like,
Whoa.
and it makes total sense because
Okay.
I
Explain.
I was in a very any romantic relationship, and I've only had a few in my life, have been just not great guys. And my marriage was unfortunately very mentally and emotionally and psychologically abusive, and I'm no longer in that marriage. However, there's this part of me that feels like, well, I have to do all of these things to make you happy. You are only going to love me if I do all of these things. And if I don't do all of these things for you, then I somehow lose your love. Because, Mackenzie and I always say, like, she had the broken family system, and I've had all these broken, like, romantic relationships. And so it's like you can be taught bad love in any
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And you transform that into your relationship with the Lord without even really realizing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that's how, I mean, and he's been so gracious, because I didn't
Mhm.
even realize I was doing that. But I noticed that I just started to feel really drained in the
Mhm.
last month or two. Like, because now all this fear of punishment is stripped away. So, okay, well, I'm going to approach you, Lord, but I still have to make you happy. I still have to,
Uh-huh.
and that's just not it.
Yeah.
Right.
The
So
Lord,
did you get delivered of this? Or
I
I,
think another session is
we,
due.
yes, I honestly, I don't know, but I have noticed lately that I don't feel this need anymore to quote unquote perform.
okay. Well, that sounds like deliverance.
I'll take it, right?
Yeah.
I think just that wisdom and that knowledge of being like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what I've been doing.
Sometimes it is that simple that you start thinking differently.
Yes.
Renew the way you think.
Yes.
When you start thinking differently, that devil doesn't have a place to stand anymore. Whether,
Exactly.
and I'm
That's
always like, there might be a devil, there might not, but like start thinking differently
yeah.
and then you'll behave differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just noticed that, like, when I was praying today, I was like, Lord, there's just so much that I want to talk to you about. And it was so scattered. It was
Oh,
a scattered prayer, but I was joyful.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Uh-huh.
I didn't feel like, "Oh, well,
Uh-huh.
I need
That's
to make
good.
sure that I thank you for 15 things before I ask you for
Uh-huh.
2 things," you know?
Uh-huh.
And and I just sense that there's such, especially if you grew up in church, there can be such a religious spirit, such a to-do list
Mhm.
type of mentality, and I think it's a very easy thing to fall into for
Yeah.
many of us, and absolutely no shame to anyone
Mhm.
that can sense that they're in that category. I think just note that curiosity and that noticing and just being honest with the Lord. And if you like to write things down, do that and just see what He reveals to you. And then just notice,
Yeah.
you
That's so
know,
good.
and if you need deliverance from something, or if you need, like, I think having good, godly women in your corner, or men too, like, I mean, that can point things out to you in a way that's loving.
Yeah.
That fear of punishment, if Mackenzie points something out to me, she's not doing it because she hates my guts. Like, she's
Right.
doing it because she loves me,
Yeah.
and vice versa. And that's something I'm having to kind of train my brain on, is like, this isn't judgment. This
Yeah.
is love.
That
Like,
is so good.
there is a difference. There's a big
Yeah.
difference. But a lot of times in the church, like, judgment is like,
Mm.
it's construed as love. And
Yeah.
you can get that real twisted real
Yeah.
fast.
Thank you for sharing that. As you're talking, I'm thinking I kind of want to name the thing for you so you know what you're fighting. I
Sure.
I think that you've already cast it out or you've renewed your mind or whatever, but I would call this performance.
Mhm. Yes.
And usually it comes in 3 Ps: performance, perfectionism, and pride.
Mm. Mhm.
And they're wrapped together with the little pride snake because it all says, I. I need to do this checklist before I can ask him for something else. I need to perform. And it negates Jesus on the cross doing everything. It's when we
Correct.
become human doers. But at the bottom of it, so you could have performance, you could have perfectionism. Sometimes those are devils, but at the bottom of that, the real thing that gets you free is the pride. When you cast that out, and it sounds like you've got a really humble spirit about you, and you actually don't have that if you have pride. So I think that you did get delivered. So I felt like our listeners need to hear that. Sometimes we just use all these names that we don't know. And I don't know that there's a wrong name, if I could be real with you. As long as you know what it feels like and you know it's not from God and you can tell it to go, that's it. That's what matters, right? Very good. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that story. I know it'll minister to so many. So, this conversation has been such a reminder of renewal that doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from creating space for what only God can do. Would you share with the listeners how we can connect with you? Tell us the name of your show and any freebies or anything that you want to share.
You can find us at our website, from rundowntorenewed.com. We're also from Rundown to Renewed on Instagram and Facebook. And our podcast is also from Rundown to Renewed. Anything from Rundown to Renewed, search it up, you will find us.
Love that. Love it so
We will
much.
be having a webinar, so make sure you go in and check out when that is and see if you can get in.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And if
love that so much.
you're
From
local,
rundown to renewed. This is your reminder. Saturday, February 28th in 2026, we are doing a live 4-hour Zoom called Stepping into Abundant Living. If you've been managing fear, managing shame, managing anxiety, managing performance, is not about managing better. It's actually about freedom. We're going to get freedom from the root cause of whatever is at the bottom of your struggle. This is a 4-hour live Zoom experience starting at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to break agreement with lies, hear God clearly, and respond with authority instead of striving. You can come and you can just observe, you could receive, you can just show up and let God move. Jesus didn't die so that you could cope more efficiently. He died so that you could live free and an abundant life right now, right here, today. The registration link is in the show notes, so I will see you there. Mackenzie and Denise, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for sharing your heart so honestly today. And for everyone listening, you're not behind, you're not failing, and renewal is already unfolding right in front of you. It is time for that spring cleaning. I speak that over you, and I pray that blessings and favor will chase you down. Phew, that was a whole word, wasn't it? Thanks for spending this time with me on Heal with God. Just a reminder, I'm a licensed minister, not a licensed therapist. So this is all about spiritual encouragement and prayer, not replacing your doctor's advice. And if you haven't already, I want you to go grab your spot for the next free live workshop at heatherobrien.net/workshop. I'll walk you through my 3-step spirit-led process to hear God and heal what's really going on. Until next time, I'm praying blessings and favor chase you down.